Welcome to the Damn Strong podcast. I'm your host, Bree, and I'm a full-time online fitness coach, and my passion is to educate women on all things fitness. I help women just like you step into the power of knowledge and commitment to ultimately live your best and strongest life. In this podcast, we'll talk about being damn strong in our body, mind, and life. I'll be teaching you how to navigate nutrition, strength training, and mindset challenges. So get ready to take some notes because we're building a damn strong life. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Bree, and this is the Damn Strong podcast. And today we have a Q&A episode. If you're new here, the Q&A episodes come from my stories. So I'll post a little Q&A box, let people enter in questions specifically for the podcast, and I'm going to be answering those today. And I will say, for the first time, I have some more personal questions, not for the first time, but I have questions about my hair and some laundry questions and stuff. So I'm going to save those for the end. So if you're someone who's I literally could care less about your hair routine, you don't have to listen to it. So when you hear me start to go into those more personal questions, that is the end of the podcast. And if you want to check out, you can. If you're interested in maybe some of those more personal questions, then you can stick around. And so that's how I'm kind of separating it out. So anyways, let's go ahead and let's just hop into it and get started. So the first question here is a little bit general, and I'm going to maybe clarify with some stuff. It says, what do you think of 3 lower body days? I think doing 3 lower body days in a week, obviously not back to back to back, but 3 lower body days as far as volume for legs, glutes, and all that is totally fine as long as you can recover from it, right? That's the biggest thing when it comes about working out in general. If you're doing full body, if you're running and you're lifting, if you're biking and running and lifting, you have to be able to recover from everything. So I think doing 3 lower body days is totally fine. I would also be interested if you could get the same gains out of doing 2 days, but pushing intensity a little bit harder. I'd be curious what your intensity looks like on all 3 days, because it could be that if you push your intensity a little bit harder, you could actually get the same amount of gains with 2 days versus 3. But let's just say for toots and giggles that you are pushing yourself really, really hard, maybe assessing RIR or RPE. Adding a 3rd day, you would just have to play around with it and make sure that you can recover from it. So I'm not against doing 3 lower body days. I personally only do 2 lower body days. All my clients do 2 lower body days. In my program, I have 2 lower body days. But I would only add in a 3rd if you can actually recover from it. And obviously, if your goal is to grow your lower body. So you'd have to experiment. Add in the 3rd day, see how your recovery is, and then kind of go from there. All right, next question is 10K step goal necessary for someone who does other cardio? And they put in parentheses, equestrian, runner, soccer. This all depends on the purpose for the 10K. So I'll say right off the bat, if you are, horseback riding, equestrian, if you don't know, it's horseback riding. If you're an equestrian rider, if you're a runner, if you also play soccer, you're doing this weekly, you probably have some pretty good cardio, right? Like cardiovascular system, good healthy heart. You're working that out weekly, right? And so it kind of depends where the 10K step goal is for. My first thought is okay, cardiovascularly, do you need to be adding in a 10K step goal so you can get better heart health? Probably not. It seems like a lot. This is weekly, you run, you play soccer, and you ride weekly. You're probably pretty set in getting the baseline benefits of just being active and having those cardiovascular activities, right? Where it could come into play, that 10K could be helpful for you, even if you're equestrian riding, running, doing soccer, is if you're in a fat loss phase or if you're trying to be in a gaining phase, right? Because there isn't, when it comes to fat loss, and I'm not saying that you're in a fat loss phase, but I'm trying to add this other side of it for those who are in a fat loss phase. It's not that 10K steps is this magic thing that helps you to lose fat. All steps are doing, the reason why I have my clients and I myself track my steps when I'm in a fat loss phase is because it's just a way to measure how active we are in a day, right? So for example, assuming you do this every single week, but it could be that on the days that you equestrian ride, because you're so tired from riding, your step count drops, right? Let's say, on the days that you don't play soccer, run, or ride, you get roughly about 10K steps just naturally, right? And for any of you who's watching a video, you just saw Sage walk in the background. Sage, you want to say hi? Do you have any fun facts for the crew today?
Not yet.
Okay, he says not yet. So anyways, back to what I was saying is if you are, let's say on your non-riding, soccer, running days, you get 10K steps naturally, right? You happen to walk around that much. But on the days that you ride, you're so tired that you just are a couch potato the rest of the day and you get 1,000 steps. That's where having the 10K step goal comes in handy in a fat loss phase. It's just a way for us to make sure, okay, we're this much active every day. And you riding and soccer and running. It's just added activity, but we can measure, okay, every single day, you're roughly 10K steps active each day. And so a way for us to measure and keep like a bar on your activities. Because again, if you were like 10K steps one day and then you ride and you're 1,000K steps the next day, and the next day you're 8K steps because you had a busy day and so you were able to get steps in. And the next day you played soccer. Yes, you ran around for 30 minutes, which is going to obviously burn a chunk of calories. Because you ran around for 30 minutes in the morning, you sat the rest of the day and you have 1,000 steps again. And so it's just a way for us to measure like, okay, at bare minimum, we're this active. Anything else outside of that is just added movement, right? So that's where it could be necessary. Even if you are someone that gets a lot of cardio in other ways, that could be a reason to have a 10K step goal or just a step goal in general, as if you're in like a fat loss phase, or again, even in like a bulking phase or maintenance. It's good for you to understand about how active you are so you can adjust your calories if need be. Okay. Next question is thoughts on creatine. I'm not going to dive into creatine because I do actually have a supplement episode where me and Alex, when he was on the pod, we dove in deep into creatine and there are timestamps. So if you go to episode 17, that's the supplements 101, everything you could ever want to know. And we have timestamps on each different supplement. So you could just go straight to creatine, listen to it there. I deep dive into my thoughts. Alex gives his thoughts. We give the background, everything. But my just really quick general thoughts, super positive. I would love everyone to be on it, not just for the gains, but also for the brain, neurological stuff that we're seeing come out. Love creatine. Okay, next question is, how did you find new clients when you first started coaching? For me, it's all been online. I found all of my clients being online, and I don't know if that's helpful to your answer or not. Maybe you're like, well, I already know that, but I'm wanting more in depth. But I mean, when it comes to being in the online fitness space, and as far as, getting clients, I don't use any like special tactic. I just be myself and I'm authentic. And I think about, okay, could this help someone? Could this be of benefit to someone when I post my content? I think about, what I went through in my journey and what I wish I knew. Or they'll be like, literally just this morning, I was like, I'm going on a trip here in like roughly 2 weeks. And I was like, okay, I'm like so excited for my trip. I'm so excited to do this and this and this. I'm like, I should post about like what I'm doing, like what my game plan is for my fitness goals. Spoiler alert, like I'm just going to eat food that I want to eat. I'm not going to work out. I'm not going to worry about my step goal, but I think it'd be important to post about that. And so I just try to keep everything just very authentic, very just forward facing, no smoke and mirrors, and just post authentically and post consistently. And I feel like that's over time attracted my ideal client. Yeah, that's all I kind of have to say about that. Okay. Next question is, do you wear different shoes for training versus walking? Faves, I'm assuming as in faves, different shoes. PS, love the pod. Thank you for the love for the pod. So training versus walking, I'll be honest, for training, I yes and no. So when it's upper body day, I just wear whatever shoes I'm going to walk in. Like I just wear anything. I really don't care. It's upper body day. I really don't care as much. For lower body, I really want to make sure I'm not in a squishy runny shoe. So I honestly just do barefoot. Well, not barefoot. I just train in socks. So anything I am pushing my foot against through something, I take off my shoes so that way I have the concrete of the gym floor under my feet and I'm pressing against a really, really firm surface and not a squishy running shoe. And the best way to compare that is, is it easier to run on concrete or is it easier to run through sand, right? Sand is squishy, right? You have to push into that squish and it's harder to run versus running on concrete. You have a nice firm surface. And so I don't wear shoes necessarily for training, like specific training shoes. I used to wear Converse. I really liked Converse. I think Converse are a bit of an issue for most people. I have a very narrow foot. So I think Converse work for me. Vans are also an option. You could do Metcons. Metcons are a good like Nike shoe that are a flatter shoe. You really want to go for a flat shoe. You also want to make sure that it's not too narrow. If it's too narrow, then your toes can't spread out and give you that like tripod foot placement. So I just make it easy for myself. I don't know why I stopped working out in Converse. I just did. I was like, you know what? I like wearing my running shoes so I can walk in them after. And so I just take them off. Another really big popular one is Noble. I think actually Noble would probably be one of my top ones to recommend because not only are they a super flat shoe, but the toe box. So when I say the toe box, that front part of your shoe, like where your toes are, it's wider. So something that's very interesting about how like shoes are, and for, all of you listening, you've worn heels, I'm sure before, your toes are like squished in that shoe. And a lot of running shoes have a very narrow front. So you may not feel like your foot is squished, but it could be pinching your toes or pushing your toes together when naturally your foot is a little bit wider. And nobles are really, really good because their toe box is wider, so your feet can be properly wide. And you can kind of have that like tripod stance on your foot a little bit more. So my recommendations for shoes, if you want to wear shoes, would be like, again, Metcons, Converse, Vans, Nobles. If you don't want to go spend money on lifting shoes, then I would just honestly lift in socks. That's what I do. I enjoy that, and I don't see myself changing that anytime soon, but you never know. I could decide I want to go back to shoes. Next question is, will you ever bulk again? That is a great question. I think the answer is yes. Right now, no. I think it'll be some time. I feel like, and I can't remember if I've talked about this on other pods, or I feel like it's been a minute since I've talked about it, but I'm kind of in this cycle of like, I'm kind of tired of like these strategic like periods of fitness for me, if that makes sense. Like I plan out my bulk, then I plan out maintenance, then I plan out the cut, and then just recycles and recycles. I'm just like, you know what? I just want to live life. Like I just want to eat food. I want to prioritize protein. I want to lift weights. Like that's the extent of what I want my brain process to be. And so I feel like I'm just a little fatigued from going round and round and round, not in a bad way. It's not like I've been on a hamster wheel and nothing's happened, but like I've made a lot of progress, obviously. I'm just tired of like the strategicness that it's kind of like I have to be on almost all the time, like in these different phases. Like if I'm not in a cut, then I'm at maintenance, trying to make sure I'm maintaining maintenance. If I'm not at maintenance, I'm in a bulk, and I'm making sure I'm trying to get enough food, enough protein, and I'm training, and I'm trying to train a little bit harder because I've better recovery and more food. And I'm just like, I just need a break. I feel like for like a year. And after that year, I'll kind of see where I'm at. And then maybe go from there. So I don't say never say never. I don't think I'll never go in a bulk again. I really loved being in a bulk. I saw great gains from being in a bulk, but right now I just need a little bit of a break, and then I'll kind of go from there, kind of see what, maintenance brings me. And it could be like, hey, I'm just loving maintenance so much. And you know what? Yes, I build muscle here. It's much slower than being in a bulk. But that trade-off is worth it for me. So never say never, but I think it'll be some time before I do it again. Okay, next question is body weight increased 2 kilos post-holiday. Should I eat in a deficit / maintenance calories to drop weight to normal? So here's the thing about going on holiday. Now, for all my chicks in the States, holiday means vacation in a lot of other countries. So basically went on vacation, went on holiday, came back, was 2 kilos heavier, and is now wondering like, should I go to deficit? Should I be at maintenance? Like, so that way I can drop back down to my normal like post-holiday weight. Here's the thing about going on holiday is like, you're going to eat more food and you're out of routine. And for a lot of us, like we're drinking alcohol. And so a lot of that weight gain that happens over holiday vacation is just more stomach content, right? Just more water weight, just more inflammation. And so when you come back from a vacation, holiday, anything, I would just go back to what you were doing before. If you were in a deficit before and you're wanting to continue in your deficit, then go back to a deficit. If you were at maintenance and then you went on holiday and you came back, just go back to maintenance and things will work itself out. It's not unusual to see a large gain over a holiday, right? What was it? 2 years ago, Sage and I went on a trip to Napa for his 30th birthday, and we were there for 12 or 14 days. We were there for like, the first week was with the first group, a set of friends. They left. We hung out for like 4 days, and the second group of friends came in and we hung out with them. So that's why we were there for so long. And during that time, like over the course of 14 days, when I came home, I was 11 pounds heavier. 11 pounds. And I didn't freak out, and I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I gained 11 pounds of body fat. My body responds to holiday horrifically. I have to take medication in order to go to the bathroom. Like it's really, really bad. Trust me, I know everyone wants to message me and say, oh, I do this on vacation. And I've tried it all. I have tried literally everything. And the only thing that has worked is going on medication when I travel. And so that's something recent that I resorted to, and it's been great. But back then, 2 years ago, I didn't. And so I was basically filled up with food. Like I probably pooped like, gosh, I want to say 4 times in 14 days, maybe. Like I was full of SHIT, like a lot of it. And I just went right back to what I normally do. And I dropped that 11 pounds in 7 days. Like that's how inflamed, water retained, stomach content I was filled up to the brim. So just remember, when you come back from holiday, like there's a lot of factors that went on. You ate more, most likely on that trip, than you do when you eat at home. So stomach content. You are out of routine. Water retention. If you're drinking alcohol, water retention, right? And so I would just come home, go right back into maintenance. You should drop pretty much within that first week, pretty immediately, like drop the weight down. And you'll see yourself even out right back at the weight that you were pre-vacation. I'm sorry. Okay. Next question is, can you explain how fiber bread has more calories than what the label says? Yes. So fiber roughly has 2 calories per gram. And so, most nutrition labels will just say 0 calories. And so they'll like advertise the net carbs, right? So if a loaf of bread has 10 carbs in it, but 8 grams of those are fiber, then the product will say, oh, this only has 2 grams of carbs. Well, we know that carb has 4 calories per gram. And so 2 times 4 is 8. So we'll say, hey, only 8 calories are coming from carbs. When in reality, fiber has roughly about 2 calories per gram. And so they just don't account for it. And so a lot of you are hearing this and be like, oh my gosh. So you're telling me like the bread, the vegetables, whatever, all the stuff that I'm eating, it's not being accounted for in the calories in the nutrition label. Yes, that is correct. However, we need to take a fat step back real quick, okay? On average, most people consume roughly about 30 grams of fiber per day, right? Okay, now if I just said that a gram of fiber has roughly 2 calories to it, right? Then at most, your calories are just off by 60 calories. It's not a big needle mover, right? So if you are eating your bread and you're tracking 70 calories when your bread is actually 90 calories, it's only 20 calories you missed from your bread. But then people are like, oh, well, it adds up over the day. Again, you're probably only eating at most 30 grams of fiber in a day. So at most, your calories are going to be off by 60. So I just think it's stepping over dollars to pick up pennies. I wouldn't worry about it. What matters with your tracking is that you're consistent with it. If you're consistently not tracking the fiber, then you may, let's say if 60 calories made a difference, you would lower your calories and therefore negate the 60 calories that you're not tracking because you're consistent in not tracking the calories in the fiber. The other thing too is there's soluble versus insoluble. So some of the fiber you would count towards calories and some of it actually won't. You're not going to be able to know out of when you're looking at a fiber label, like how much of it's soluble, how much is insoluble. So that's what I'm saying. At worst, if all of the fiber had calories to it, had 2 calories per gram in the fiber. Again, at most, if you're eating 30 grams of fiber a day, you're going to be off by 60 calories. I just wouldn't worry about it. I've seen some coaches that I follow post about it like, hey, look, you're not tracking all of your calories. These labels are off. Yes, but like, let's zoom out and see like how off, because I don't know about y'all, but I don't need another thing to add to my day or another thing like to track. Now, I do think fiber is great to track. Fiber is super, super great for you to consume. There's lots of things that it's going to help and enhance your health. So like if you're looking for another like, hey, what's something else I can add to my life to enhance my health? Track your fiber. Try to get multiple different sources of fiber. But it's not something you necessarily need to be tracking for a fat loss sake. So that way you can just figure out 60 calories. Okay. Next question is, do you think the Stairmaster is a good form of cardio? Let's say 15/20 minutes after strength training. Yeah, I think it's totally great. If it's getting your heart rate up for a sustained amount of time and you enjoy doing that, sure, absolutely. Now, you can get great cardio results from biking, from roller skating, from horseback riding, from soccer. So if you're picking the Stairmaster because you think it's a superior form of cardio for some whatever reason, I don't know, argue against that. Unless you're like a firefighter, you're having to climb up stairs. Like you probably don't need the adaptation of like specifically being able to do cardio upstairs. But if you enjoy the Stairmaster, it's what's available. Maybe all the treadmills are always taken and the Stairmaster is always available. Yeah, for cardiovascular reasons, I think the Stairmaster is great. If you're thinking you're going to build extra glute muscles or leg muscles or whatever, like that's going to be your strength training, right? This is cardio based that you're doing. Yeah, I feel like that's all I got to say about it. So whether you do 15 or 20 minutes, you're elevating your heart rate for a sustained amount of time. I think that's a great form of cardio. Again, especially if you enjoy it. Makes that cardio even better. Okay, now I'm going to move into the more personal questions. So if you're like, hey, I don't care about any of that stuff, you can go ahead and hop out. Thanks for joining. If you're interested in these personal questions, I'm going to keep going. So the first one here, I'm not going to ignore. She says, you can ignore if it's private, but the size of your implants, are you happy? I'm scared of getting mine. Man, I've had actually a post typed up for a really long time about my implants. That it's this post that I titled it like everything I wish I knew or someone had told me before getting my implants. And I'm just going to kind of go over it. Well, let me first answer her question. My size, I think I got 225. I think, oh yeah. Also, for those who don't know, I have a boob job. Like I don't hide it. I definitely talk about it. I don't like being inauthentic about that stuff. I have a boob job. I get Botox and I get filler in my lip just to be completely transparent. I got my boobs back in 2015. I was 20. I got them in June. So I was 20 and then I turned 21 in July. So I've had them for, gosh, it'll be 9 years this June. So I had them for a bit. Am I happy with them? Yes. I have my post pulled up that I've typed out of just like the different points that I make that I'll just kind of walk through. So the first point, this is the post I typed up and it says what I wish someone had sat down and talked to me about before I got my boobs done. The first thing I wish someone had sat me down and talked about is surgery. Like I think we miss the fact that you are going under the knife. You're going under anesthesia. And I understand that like not everyone's dying on the table every single day from getting a breast augmentation, right? But you need to consider that you are going under the knife. And not only are you going under the knife once, but your boobs have a warranty. Like they're not going to last forever, especially you're getting silicone. So there's silicone and saline. Saline is basically just salt water. So I have saline. If my boobs popped right now, if I busted one, it'd be basically salt water depositing in my body. It's not harmful. My boob would deflate and I would have to go get it replaced, right? If it's silicone leaks into your body and you have to immediately go get surgery. Like you don't want silicone just sitting in your body long-term. So you immediately have to get surgery. The reason why people get silicone versus saline is silicone feels more natural. At the time, I was 20, so you can't get silicone, I believe, till you're 25. And so my only option was saline. Now, looking back, I'm happy I got saline because, again, if I have to bust one of these in the gym one day, it's nice to know that it's like, okay, I'm not having something that's harmful depositing into my body as far as like the saline. And I can go get surgery done when it's inappropriate, like when I can work it out. But again, if my boobs have like a warranty or they're going to last around 10 years, I'm coming up on 9 and I'll probably just push it again. If one of mine pops, like it's not the end of the world. So I'll probably just push it until something happens because I don't want to have to go under the knife if I don't have to. But the reality is like if you have silicone around 10 years, you probably have to go get replacement boobs. And so you're going to have to go under in surgery multiple times throughout your life. And you have to remember too, at some point, surgery is risky as you get older. And at some point you're going to be, especially like, I guess even with me, even if I don't have silicone, if you have saline, you're going to be like, okay, I'm in my 70s and like, it's risky for me to go under the knife. Like, should I go under the knife now and get them completely removed for the rest of my life? So that way I'm not in my 90s, one pops and I have to go under the knife at 90, right? So just know like you're not getting one surgery and that's it for the rest of your life. You may have to get multiple surgeries. You're going to have to go under multiple times. And that is a risk. Again, I don't think I ever see or hear about people dying, getting a breast augmentation like ever, but you're still going under. It's still risk. Anytime you go under surgery, there is a risk associated. So just think about that. Okay. Next one is clothes. And this is a personal preference. So the bigger the boobs you have, to be honest, the harder it is to find clothes that fit you. And then not only if they fit you, but not everything just be like screaming cleavage. So like, two people could wear a top. And again, this is personal preference. Some of you be like, I don't care. I want my boobs to be busting out everywhere. Power to you. Okay. But there's sometimes where I put on a top and I'm just like, man, I wish it wasn't so like sexualized. I wish my boobs weren't just like popping out of it. Like if I had smaller boobs right now, I could wear this and people wouldn't think twice about it, right? But because I have bigger boobs, my cleavage is everywhere. And I'm just like, ugh, I'm going to a baby shower. I probably should not be wearing this when my cleavage is all out. So that's another thing to think about. If you're someone that really likes to explore clothes or does like to be more conservative with your dress, just know having bigger boobs may limit what you can wear more, and not only limit what you can wear from like a more maybe like modest dress, but there are times where I'll buy tops or dresses and the part where your boob's supposed to go, like the amount of fabric is small. Like for example, bikini tops, like triangle bikini tops. When I was smaller, the triangle covered my entire boob. Now I got side boob. Now I got cleavage in the front. And sometimes I got a little bit of under boob depending on the brand because they make the triangle so small. So I have to size up to like an extra, extra large. And hopefully it's a tie because then I can tie it tight enough around my rib cage, but then I'm getting enough coverage in the triangle area. So if you don't want to go through that frustration with clothes, I would reconsider a boob job. Okay, third one, which I didn't know was a thing until I got my boobs, was boob sweat. Like, people had talked about boob sweat. You see it in movies or girls talk about it or whatever. I thought boob sweat was that little like bead of sweat that you get in between your breasts. Like, no, you sweat underneath your boob in the crease. I didn't have a crease. Like I was bee stings. Like I was mosquito bites. Like I was maybe on a good day a B. Like I was like an A/B. I don't even know how I would say it. Like I was borderline. I was probably in the middle. I was like an A/B. I was very, very small. I didn't have any like under boob to me. Like my boobs didn't crease underneath. I didn't have enough boob for it to do that. And so I didn't sweat under there. And so when I first got my boobs done, I'll never forget. It was like the middle of summer. When you have your boobs done, they sit nice and perky. So I didn't wear a bra. That probably would have soaked all that up. I put on a gray shirt and I was sweating everywhere underneath that t-shirt. And that was my first time experiencing it. Cause I think before that, I always been wearing a bra. So I think it was my first time like not wearing a bra and wearing a shirt. Yeah. So now you got to worry about boob sweat. Fourth thing to think about, you can lose feeling in your boobs. Okay. You could lose feeling in your nipples. So depending on where you get the cuts into. So there's like a few places, there might be more now. Now it's been 9 years. You can get the incisions under the boob. You can get it in your armpit, or they actually go through the nipple. When you go through the nipple, you have a high risk of losing all sensation in your nipple, slashing your boob, going under your boobs, like the incisions underneath. You also have a risk of losing all sensation in your boobs, nipples, all that. I'm not sure what the risk of going through the armpit is. It may be less. But that is a risk. I think it's actually more expensive to go through the armpit too. So anyways, if you decide like, hey, I have to go. My doctor said we have to put my implant in through the nipple, or we have to do incisions underneath my breast. Just know you may lose sensation in your boobs and in your nipples. And not to get like, but like if you're someone that gets stimulation and has a good time with nipple sensation, that might be a problem for you. That might be a big red flag for you. For me, I lost feeling like I'm feeling my boobs as I'm talking here, but like I would say an inch to an inch and a half, like from where my incisions are. And if you go up my boob towards my nipple, I would say about an inch and a half, I have zero feeling. My nipples, I do have feeling in my nipples still, but underneath my boob, like where the incisions are, and then like about an inch and a half up, I have zero feeling. Like the nerves did not reconnect down there. So that is a risk that you could lose sensation in your entire boob / all the way through your nipples. So again, that's important to you. Something to think about. Next thing to think about, and this was a big one for me, is why are you doing it? Like, are you doing it because you hate your body, because you hate yourself? Just know getting boobs won't make you love your body anymore. And this is coming from someone who, when I first went into it, I did out a place of hate. And then I'll give you all the backstory in a second, but you getting boobs is not going to make you love your body anymore. At first, it might. At first, you're going to be super excited. You finally have this cleavage. You fill out your shirts how you want to, whatever. But after you have them for a period of time, then you're going to pick apart something else. Oh, my stomach isn't small enough. My butt's not big enough, whatever. It does not heal your relationship with your body. So if you're doing it because you're like, oh, I'll finally love my body because I have big boobs, newsflash, it's not going to heal your relationship with your body. For me specifically, I initially, when I wanted to get my boobs done, I did out of hate. I did everything, I feel like, when it comes to my body out of hate. Like I ate healthy because I hate my body. I worked out because I hated my body. I got my boobs because I hated my body. And I didn't initially, like I actually my mindset ended up changing. That's what I'm going to walk through. But like when I first went for my consultation, I think it was like 19, maybe even 18. I went for my first consultation because I was out of the house and I wanted to get them done. I hated my boobs. I just wanted to get them done. And then I remember my mom, the doctor that I went and saw in secret from my parents, sent a mailing to my parents' house, which I lived in. I was in college, so I lived there over the summers, and she got the mail and she opened it and she found out that I went for a boob job. And she was like, just so you know, like, we're not going to help you out with college anymore if you follow through with this. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to be waiting. But I'm such a big believer in everything happens for a reason. I'm so glad that happened, because through my fitness journey, I was able to challenge myself of like, I shouldn't get these because I hate my body. And so I really challenged myself over the years. So I guess it was like roughly 2 years of like, okay, why are you getting these? Why are you getting these? Why are you getting these? And I finally got them at 20 and obviously I followed through with it. But right before I went and got them, I was like, you know what? I want them because it just feels right on my body. Like I just want bigger boobs. I feel like it's going to fit like the body shape and aesthetic that I want. It's not because I hate my body. It's just because honestly, I just want bigger boobs. And I finally got to that place. And so I think mindset is a really hard thing to talk about because it's so complex, but just promise me you'll think about why you're doing it. If it's for like the attention of men, or if it's for because you think you'll finally love your body, like think through that stuff first. I want you to actually learn to embrace and love your body where it is. And I know this feels like or hearing this feels like very hypocritical. Like, okay, well, Brie, if you're telling us to love your body, but you went through and got your boob job, obviously you don't love your body. I hear you. Like, I think that's a hard argument to argue, but I feel like I finally got to a place, and it's probably hard for me to explain. You have to go through it, but I got to a place where I was like, you know what? If I don't ever get a boob job, I'll be okay. Like, if this doesn't happen today, if this never happens, I will be fine. I really want it, but if it doesn't happen, I'll be okay. And so I reached that spot of like, it's something I want because I like the look of it, but I didn't have to have it because I hated my body and all that kind of stuff. And so again, mindset's a really complicated thing to talk through, but just promise me you will think through this. Man, this is going to be like a whole ass episode at this point, but I just want to talk through all these points. Okay. And I even put here on this post, how I feel about my implants. Am I happy? Like, would I have changed my mind? Honestly, I had to think through this for a long time. I don't think I would have. I think I'll be honest, it just feels like my boobs being the size just feel right. Like it just feels like me. And maybe it's because I've had them for a long time, but like looking back, I don't think I would have changed my mind. I think I still would have gone through it. Would have been really nice for someone to sit down and have concerns and talk all this through with me. Absolutely. But I enjoy my boobs being the size they are. I enjoy how they look in my clothes. Do I have frustrations with boob sweat and clothes not fitting me and all that? Yes. Do I think about sometimes like, man, what if I just had smaller boobs? And like, what if I took them out? Would I actually would I find things easier? Do I think about that? Yes. But I'm just not there yet. I'm not there where like, I want to take them out. Another thing I think about that I just thought about is like your body can reject your implants. So there have been lots of women who have gotten their boobs implanted and they actually get really, really sick because there's body hairs rejecting their boobs. There's actually someone who I follow on Instagram. She got her boobs done. She had to get them redone and replaced. And when she got them redone and replaced a second time, her body responded very, very negatively to that. So just remember, like, just because you get this boob job doesn't mean your body's going to accept it. And so therefore you may have to go under the knife again to have them taken out. So that's another risk too. I do think if someone had talked to me about this stuff, I would have sat on the decision a little bit longer. Maybe stuffed my shirt with some socks for a few weeks and like poured water on my shirt to see what boob sweat is like. Like I may have thought through it a little bit more, but if I'm just being 100% honest, like I don't think I would have changed my decision. I really like my boobs the size they are. I feel like it feels very me having them this size. Yeah, I feel like the only other thing to talk about with boobs is like people always ask, well, can you work out in them and stuff? Yeah, you totally can. I got mine under the muscle. If you get them on top of the muscle, like you really have no concerns. Mine are under the muscle. I didn't train chest for a really, really long time. It just wasn't a muscle I honestly even cared to grow. Now that I'm here years later, I am training chest again. I really just want to be strong on chest. I want to be able to do push-ups and stuff, but I am like just careful with how hard I push because, every time I'm working out the muscle, that muscle is contracting over the implant. So I am a little bit more careful. The doctors always say you can work out chest just like normal. You don't have to have any concern. I just kind of err on the side of caution with it. For the first few years, it feels super weird doing anything chest. Like you can feel the muscle pulling your implants apart because it's contracting. Over time, it just feels a little bit less and less weird. I don't know because if it actually gets less and less weird or because you just get more and more used to it. So, but it does feel weird at first. You won't be able to do chest for quite a while. It'd probably even be good just maybe like wait a year to work out any chest stuff. And then you kind of just take it from there. Okay, sorry, y'all. That was a very long answer and probably longer than y'all wanted, but I just figured I'd dive into it since I hadn't. Okay, next question is, I want to know all the hair products you put in your hair. It always looks amazing. So I will tell you the hair products that I put in, but I also want to disclose it's like hair is just like body aesthetics, right? Like your hair will never look exactly like mine. It will never be exactly like mine. Like my hair is a certain texture, certain curl, certain density, certain coarseness. And so it's just like when you look at someone online and like you see like their glutes or their legs, their arms, like your arms are never going to look exactly like theirs. Your glutes are never going to look exactly like theirs. And so just keep that in mind with whatever products I tell you. Like my hair is really curly. I have a lot of hair. It is thick. It is dense. I also take really good care of it. So it could actually be that, yes, the products do help, but I also take really good care of it. So I just want to disclaim that. Like, I love that there are people out there who really love my hair, but I just want to disclaim that like it won't look exactly like mine. Okay, so for as far as products that I use, I'm going to first start talking with jojoba oil. So back in 2020, my current stylist turned me on to jojoba oil. It's spelled Jojoba, jojoba. Jojoba. Yeah, jojoba oil. I put that in my hair every single week. Every single week, like on Thursday, I slick my hair back and I slick it, excuse me, I slick it back with the jojoba oil. I'll maybe put like a little hairspray, a little gel in it. I treat that with my hair every single week. That has massively transformed my hair. Just doing some type of treatment. Like you don't have to do jojoba oil. You can do whatever mask or treatment, but I would do a treatment to your hair weekly. If you're kind of looking for results like mine, that's been a big game changer. All my friends I've turned on to jojoba oil. They just notice what a massive difference it makes. I would absolutely start with that. That's something I've actually done for literally now almost 4 years, and that has not changed in my routine. As far as other products, I've changed my hair and my shampoo and conditioner. I used to use R & Co. It's like the letter R, the plus sign, and then CO. I use their like color safe one because I do color my hair. I recently switched to Sachajuan is the stuff I'm using. Again, I just kind of go based off of what my hairstyle is like. Hey, I found a new line. I really like it. You should try it out. So when I get empties, I just switch over. I'm using Sachajuan. It's Sachajuan. I use, again, their moisturizing, color safe shampoo and conditioner. And then as far as when I style my hair, I've actually gone through a lot of things with this. So I first started using the Olaplex number 5. I think it's the number 5. No, that's incorrect. It is the Olaplex number 6, which is their bond smoother. I first started out using that. There's a lot of controversy around Olaplex. I've never had any issues with Olaplex. If you're curious on what the controversy is, just Google it. I'm sure there's a Reddit thread that you can read through. But I used that for a long time. That worked really, really well. And then I switched over to Amika products. I really liked Amika products. And then recently I switched over to, I have it pulled up to make sure I get what it's called, Leaf and Flower. It's on Amazon. It's called Leaf and Flower. I use their Instant Frizz Remedy and then their 7-minute blowout. I've enjoyed those so far. I've only been using them for like 3 weeks, but I've really enjoyed it. I really like their frizz. I'm not sure how much the 7-minute blowout helps me. The 7-minute blowout is just to help like your hair dry quicker. I don't know really how much that's helping me, but I'm really liking the frizz remedy a lot just because my hair gets really frizzy really easily. We have a more humid climate here in Dallas. So yeah, those are the products I use. But the other thing too is, again, I take really good care of my hair. I try to only put heat on it once a week. I know not everyone can do that, but if you can limit the amount of times you put heat on your hair, like if you wash your hair on Monday, right, and you style it that Monday, you can go Monday, Tuesday. If your hair starts to get oily Wednesday morning, like slick back in a bun with jojoba oil and go Wednesday and Thursday slicking back your hair and then wash it on Friday, right? So it's not that my hair stays perfectly clean for 7 days. It's like I'm able to wear it like 3 days, pretty normal. And on the 4th day, I'll like dry shampoo, maybe the 5th day dry shampoo. And then on day 6 and 7, I slick it back in jojoba oil. So I think finding styles to wear your hair where you can not be washing it as much can be helpful. But I don't think you necessarily have to go a full week of not washing hair for your hair to be healthy. I think I think it's more about less heat, maybe then less washing. And then, yeah, I do the jojoba oil. So those are the big things. I don't wash my hair a ton, or I don't put a lot of heat on my hair. And then I do jojoba oil weekly. And then I always make sure to protect my hair when I am styling it. The other thing I want to disclaim too, that a lot of people talk about is like, they really like my hair, my haircut. Just know, like when you take a picture of my hair or haircut to your stylist to get your haircut that way, it's never going to look exactly the same. Like I disclaimed earlier, I even have my hair styled off of someone. So if you're really looking for my actual inspiration photo, is Matilda DeJerf. Matilda spelled how you would probably spell Matilda, or you think you would. And then DeJerf is DJERF. She's who I model my hair off of. My hair doesn't even look exactly like her because we don't have the same hair density. We don't have the same hair type. My hair's curly. I actually have more hair. Like if you're watching the video right now and you can see my fringe, I have more hair on this side of my fringe than this side. And so she has to cut it a certain way. So even with her, it's not exactly modeled off it. So we take the inspiration from her and then we model off based of what I like doing and all that kind of stuff. So again, that was a long-winded way of explaining my hair, but I figured I'd just give you guys all the deets. Okay, last question is also, how do you keep your workout socks so white? None of these are fitness related. It's so funny. So how do I keep my socks white? It's funny that you asked that because I struggled with that for a long time. So for the longest time, I could never keep my whites white and I could never figure out what it was. And then finally, Paige and I were like FaceTiming. We're trying to figure out because she's the one, I swear, her whites, I've never seen whiter whites in my entire life. And so I was trying to get her to help me. And we got bleach. I got OxyClean whitening stuff. I used all of that. And I even bought like brand new white stuff and they would immediately go gray. And I could not figure out why all my whites were going immediately like a gray looking. What I found out was that it was my detergent that was dyeing my clothes. So I don't know about y'all, but if you use like Arm & Hammer or like Tide, like the detergent's blue and it's supposed to be blue because it's going to help to brighten your clothes. That was dyeing my clothes and I wasn't realizing it. So the second I switched to a clear detergent, done. Game changer. And now all I do is I use a clear detergent and I'll use a little bit of bleach and then I dump in OxyClean, like just type in like OxyClean, like white something, it'll pop up. It's a white tub, says OxyClean on it. I just put a little bit of that in the washer. That's how I keep all my whites white. I couldn't believe that my detergent was dyeing my clothes. And every once in a while when I pull my clothes out of the washer, I'd have some clothes with like little blue stains on them and I couldn't for the life of me figure out where the blue stains were coming from. It was coming from my detergent. So fun fact, if you're using a detergent that has color to it, it could be dyeing and staining your clothes. And I would immediately switch over and change. And then I realized when I look at all my clothes, like all my colors, they have this dinginess to them. And it was that blue that was dyeing them. So I have no secret. It's that I just don't use a dyed, like a colored detergent. I use a clear detergent. And then I use, again, just a little bit of bleach in my washer. And then I use a little bit of the OxyClean stuff. And that keeps my stuff white. Something else that I'll do is Shout. The brand Shout has this like stain spray that you can spray on before you put your clothes in the washer. So like some of my white stuff, if I see like something on it, I'll spray it with that stain stuff and just throw it in the dirty clothes hamper. And then when I wash it, it helps to, what it says it helps to get the stains out a little bit better. So that's something else that I do, but no crazy secret, just a big realization that my detergent was staining my clothes. So all right, guys, that is the end of this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed a little bit of the personal stuff too. Always welcome that. And I will happily do more personal questions if you guys want. And I can definitely do them at the end for those of you who aren't interested. As always, a free way to support the show is to screenshot, share this on your stories. Also, a free way to support the show is if you're listening to this on Apple, or even if you're not listening to this on Apple, go on to Apple Podcasts, give a little 5-star. Leave a little review. You actually can give stars, I think, on Spotify too. You just can't leave a review, but on Apple, you can leave a review. That stuff helps me as well. So I will catch you guys next week on the next episode, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Damn Strong Podcast. Show me some love by leaving a review and sharing a screenshot of this episode on your Instagram stories. Until next time, stay strong.